True, they've got 8 weeks, Jimmy, to figure it out, but what a bunch of additions that they've made. Look at Booker, right-handed. It's here in Phoenix. Leonard maintains his feet, puts it down. That was nasty.
Los Angeles Clippers, Phoenix Suns getting it on in a first-round matchup that, by the way, if Paul George were healthy, this one would be a 7-game series. No doubt. These teams have some recent history. Remember, they got it on a couple years back. No Kawhi. Now we're getting it on no PG to start. And I'm not 100% sure Paul George will be ready to go before Game 5 of this series. He is doing some stand-up jump shot shooting. I hope that made sense. He is getting some jumpers up. I've seen a little video of him in a Clippers practice, so that's a good sign. But I haven't seen a lot of movement, though. I only seen some jump shots. Not to say he's not doing more. I'm just saying I haven't seen it. I'm looking at a lot of people make their predictions on this series right now, and a lot of people are saying the Phoenix Suns are going to get rid of the Los Angeles Clippers in quick order. I'm not going to do that. I don't think this is going to be a quick series. I think the Clippers are going to be very good. I'll explain to you in a second why I believe this is going to be a tough one for the Phoenix Suns, who have still only played about 10 games together, pulling in that Kevin Durant trade at the deadline, and then he went through his injuries, obviously, and finally got back towards the latter part of the regular season. They haven't lost yet with KD in the lineup. They've looked phenomenal. They look sensational. A lot of people have them as the Western Conference Finals favorites to get out of the West. As a matter of fact, I'm not there yet, but I understand why people have them there. So I'm going to go ahead and make my prediction. I do have the Phoenix Suns winning this one. I think it's going to take 6 games. I would not be surprised one bit if I'm wrong about this. I'm telling y'all, if the Clippers win this series, I'm not going to be shocked one bit. This is a closer series than a lot of people give the Los Angeles credit for. I'm going to tell you why. Like, I understand you take a guy like Paul George away from the Clippers. Does it hurt their chances to win a championship? Absolutely. But in a one-series situation, right, for about 5 to 7 games time, right, I need people to understand this. When you have a player as great as Kawhi Leonard, putting the ball in his hands more for a few games at a time, it's not always the worst thing, right? Because, again, you're losing Paul George. Obviously, you want him on the court. He's an all-star caliber guy in this league, right? But you're putting the ball in the hands of Kawhi Leonard more. Kawhi Leonard is one of the greatest forwards of this generation. Now, he's injured a lot. It doesn't feel like Kawhi's in love with the NBA. It feels like he is in love with basketball, but not necessarily his job, which is to play in the NBA. You know, when I hear a guy saying I haven't watched much of other teams, it does concern me. Like, it just like Draymond Green just did a game against the Sacramento Kings. He put that podcast out 30, 45 minutes after feels like after he got back to his hotel room. He's in love with the product. He's not just in love with basketball. He's in love with the product. He's in love. He can't stop talking about it, right? He's monetizing it. Don't get me wrong, but he's up at 3, 4 in the morning just talking basketball because he's in love with what he does for a living, right? He's in love with his job. He loves talking about it. That's why he's going to have a 30-year career in broadcasting when he's done, because he can't help himself but talk about it. He's in love with the product. Kawhi Leonard, when he retires, we won't hear a peep from him. I believe this will be very Carmelo-esque. I don't think we'll hear a peep from him. Maybe he'll make an appearance once every 15 years, but that'll be about it. That concerns me enough where I'm not going to pick the Clippers to win this one with no PG out there, but I am definitely going to give Kawhi some credit. Let's keep in mind, this series to me is kind of reminiscent. What was that, 2017, 2018? Remember that year that the San Antonio Spurs, I think that was maybe Kawhi's last healthy year in San Antonio. Remember when they were taking on the Golden State Warriors and Zaza Pachulia came under Kawhi in the conference finals, and it ended his year and it pretty much ended his time in San Antonio? This series kind of reminds me of that one a little bit. Not necessarily 100% parallels, but that Warriors team was super stacked. That Phoenix Suns team is pretty damn good. Kawhi Leonard and the Clippers, they're not as good without Paul George as the Suns. It's no questions there. The Russell Westbrook thing is very interesting to see where his mindset is. Is he thinking I'm the second best player on my team? I got to play like that and get up 15, 20 shots? Or I just need to be the hardest working guy on my team and do whatever they need me to do? That'll be a big piece. So I'll do my key players here for the Clippers and Suns. I'll go Clippers, Norman Powell. We obviously know Kawhi has to be great. Norman Powell, though, needs to be the Clippers' second option. He needs to be the Clippers' second shot getter. Let me say it like that. I want to correct what I just said because it's important what I'm saying here. Russell Westbrook can have the ball in his hands the second most for the Clippers team. I'm not tripping over that. I'm not mad at that. I ain't tripping over that. That doesn't mean Russ needs to get up to second most shots for the Clippers. The Clippers need Russ attacking. They definitely need that, but he needs to be finding ways to get Norman Powell to the basketball. This dude was very much a part of the Sixth Man of the Year conversation first half of the year. He kind of steered off a little bit when the Clippers made a lot of moves, brought in a lot of bodies. It kind of took him out of rhythm and rotation. He's a guy, though, that can get his own shot, and he's a bucket getter. He can win you a game by himself. He can maybe have like the impact that Reggie Jackson had with the Clippers a couple years ago in 21 against the Suns. You remember when the Clippers were very tough when Kawhi went down against the Jazz? Clippers took the Suns. I think that one went 6 games. That was a very tough series for Phoenix. Then Chris Paul ended up stepping up late and winning that one for the Suns. But I think now this time around, Norman Powell can have like a Reggie Jackson type impact for the Clippers in this series. And I'm going to go out of the box here for the Phoenix Suns. I'm going to give 2 key players. Obviously, I know I could go Chris Paul or Booker or Aiden or obviously Kevin Durant, right? I'm not going to do that. I'm going to go Josh Okogie and Torrey Craig as my 2 key players for the Phoenix Suns. So really, I'm going with that Phoenix Suns bench. I know what these guys can get from their 1 through 4. I already know what type of time they on, especially their 1 and 2. Devin Booker and Kevin Durant are going to be an exciting watch this postseason. They are just unreal hoopers. I know what I'm getting from them. Kevin Durant fits seamlessly in that Phoenix Suns offense. He does. But I'm worried about everybody else. Right before KD was able to get back and get healthy for Phoenix, some of these role players for the Suns, they were in a pretty darn good groove. Guys like Josh Okogie, Torrey Craig, these guys were grooving and finding their way and then pretty much had to take a big step back when the easy money sniper got back. So I'm going to put some pressure on Josh Okogie. I think, look, obviously Monty Williams is going to keep those rotations pretty tight to the hip, but you got to give these guys a rest somehow. You don't want to overwork KD early in the playoffs. Can Josh Okogie not only be a guy that can knock down a shot, Torrey Craig as well, can they give me about 5 to 8 minutes on Kawhi Leonard in the first half and in the second half? That's a big piece to the Suns puzzle, is how can they defend some of these teams that got great guards and forwards on the perimeter. Again, I got this one going 6 games. I got Phoenix winning it in 6, but I want to be clear. I wouldn't be surprised one bit if the Clippers take the lead in this series, 2-1, something like that, 1-0, 2-1. This series is going to be a lot closer than a lot of people expect. And the sooner Paul George get back, obviously that's going to impact this series. We don't know, so I can't really account for a guy that's not there. Even without PG, I got this one going 6. I do have Phoenix winning it and advancing to the second round of the playoffs. Let me know what you got. Time, love, and support. It's what your boy will never take for granted. Let me know your thoughts on what I had to say and your predictions on this series. I got it going 6 in favor of the Suns, all right? Time, love, support. Boy, never take for granted. I'm out.